we're going to start to look at factoring. We know 3 times 5 is 15. Here, 3 and 5 are called the factors of 15, meaning if you multiply 3 and 5, their product is 15. If you were told to find the factors of 21, you need to think of what you can multiply to get 21. If you can find one of the factors, say 3, you can use it to find the other factor by working backwards. So we know that 21 divided by 3 is 7. We know that 3 times 7 is 21. So 3 and 7 would be the factors of 21. Now the point we want to make here is 3 and 7 are not the only factors of 21. So let's just say we knew the factor was -3. We can work our way backwards and take our answer of 21 divided by -3. Notice that will change that second factor to -7. So then we could say -3 times -7 is 21. So we could also say the factors of 21 are -3 and -7. So factoring a polynomial is the same concept, but of course a little more difficult. The first method to factor a polynomial is called GCF, greatest common factor. In this method, we look for a common factor in each of the terms. And using the fact that if we know that A times B equals C, then if you divide C by A, you end up with that second factor of B. Now there is one provision that A does not equal 0, because if A equals 0, C divided by 0 is undefined, and that will be a problem for us. So A cannot be 0. So again, the idea here, 3 times 7 is 21. We could also say that 21 divided by that factor of 3 will give us the other factor of 7. So if we're asked to find the factors of 4x plus 12, we notice that each term is divisible by what? Well, the first term is 4x, the second term is 12. So that 4x plus 12 is kind of the same idea as knowing the 21 here. So if we can find a number or variable combination that we can divide into 4x plus 12, that'll give us one of the factors. So notice that 4x and 12 are both divisible by a 4. So if we divide 4x plus 12 by that factor of 4, 4x divided by 4 is just x. And then 12 divided by 4 is positive 3. So there is your second factor, x plus 3. So the polynomial 4x plus 12 equals 4 times x plus 3. So the first factor is 4, the second factor is x plus 3. And if we applied the distributive property, 4 times x is 4x, and then 4 times 3 is 12. Just like up here saying 3 times 7 is 21, that's the same idea as this answer here. The second part, or the second one here, if we are asked to find the factors of x squared plus 8x, we notice each term is divisible by what? So the first term is x squared, the second term is 8x. Notice they both have an x in them. So remember the x squared is really x times x. So we have an x in that term and then an x in the second term. So we can divide by x. So x squared plus 8x divided by x. X squared over x gives you an x. And then 8x divided by x is positive 8. So x squared plus 8x equals x times the quantity x plus 8. So your two factors are x and x plus 8. Okay, so moving along, the general form for applying the GCF factoring is your standard form equals the GCF times the second factor. So in the first example here, 4 was the common factor, or the GCF, and then x in the second example was the greatest common factor. Notice that both of those went in front of the parentheses, and then what was left over as the second factor went inside the parentheses. So if we have 2x plus 10, you find the GCF. So 2x and 10, you can divide both of them by 2. So that means the GCF is 2. The second factor is what you're left with if you divided by 2. Well, 2x divided by 2 is x, and 10 divided by 2 is positive 5. So x plus 5 is the second factor. So the factored form is 2 times the quantity, x plus 5. So if you go through and try the rest of those, I'll put the answers up. So pause the video and try the rest of them. And here come the answers. And the things you have to be careful of are things like in number 3, when you look at 8x squared and 4x, remember that what you're looking at is what number and or variable can I divide into each term. So you look at the numbers first. So between an 8 and a 4, you can divide them both by a 4. And then you have an x squared and an x. With an x squared and an x, you can divide them both by x. Now, what people miss a lot on this is that first term isn't too bad. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and then x squared over x is x, so that gives you the 2x. But then that second part, when you take negative 4x and divide by 4x, it doesn't just cancel off and disappear. 4x divided by 4x is 1. So make sure you put that minus 1 there. It's minus because of the sign here. Okay, and that also shows up in number 5 at the end of that one. You end up with a minus 1 there. Okay, so that is factoring using the GCF.